lot of people think their brand strategy is confined to the marketing function, but in fact, it's a business model strategy. And you'll see what I mean as we go along, but for now, welcome to part 2 of Diablo, the world's most dangerous naming series. I'm Jim Squires, and I'll be escorting you through today's lesson as we discuss the 2 fundamental camps of brand strategy. As we dive in, allow me to remind you what marketing's primary objective is. Marketing's primary objective is to create in the mind of the customer the belief that there's no other company, product, or service on the market like yours. With this always in mind, let's talk about the 2 fundamental camps of brand strategy: branded house and house of brands. We'll start with branded house, where the idea is that an organization uses its company name to do the heavy lifting. Or another way to view it is that the company name provides the ethos for the persuasion. So in the branded house structure, the company is the recognized brand and the product or service is simply identified as what it is. They're identified as common nouns. Now the implication here is that the house is branded, the house of course being the company, but the products and services aren't. I consider this to be a top-down branding strategy, and it's extremely common in business-to-business industries and companies. Allow me to make something up in order to illustrate how the branded house strategy works. Let's say your company, Gibraltar, is in the construction industry, and more specifically, Gibraltar focuses on products for home and building foundations. Under the branded house structure, Gibraltar's product brands would be whatever they are with the company name preceding the product. So it's Gibraltar and whatever the product is. They'd have Gibraltar concrete mix, the Gibraltar wheelbarrow, the Gibraltar screed, the Gibraltar portable mixer, the Gibraltar plate compactor, and so on and so forth. See how that works? It's easy, huh? Company brand name followed by common noun of what the thing is. Now, do you recall from lesson number 1 of Diablo when I talked about making the decision to name something or not and making the decision to brand something or not? Branded house and house of brands goes to the heart of this question because as a company, you should be in agreement on what your brand strategy is. If you ask some people who market their products and services under the branded house structure, they may tell you that they don't actually brand their products and services. In fact, they may say this with a certain level of pride because they've been told, and they believe, that with the branded house paradigm, they don't have to go through all that trouble of naming and branding all their products and services. Believe me, I get it. I know more than most people that naming and branding products and services is really hard. So who wouldn't want to buy into the idea that it's not even necessary? As a side note, one thing you may find particularly interesting about the branded house strategy is that it's easily understood and preferred by those who either don't really care all that much about marketing or don't really care all that much about what's being sold. So for example, let's say you're not in the construction industry and moreover, your trade doesn't have anything to do with laying foundations. So what do you care, right? I mean, if you don't have any skin in the game, from your standpoint, Gibraltar's products are probably just as good as anyone else's. And the truth is, we all look at things from our own selfish point of view, and that of course informs our opinions. I'll give you a real-world example. I worked at an organization that sold high-end replacement windows for homes, and as I came to find out, there are a lot of different types of styles and windows in homes. Now at this company, they leveraged the branded house strategy for marketing their windows. Of course, I was wanting to brand pretty much all of the windows as specific products with their own individual line names because I know how that can lead to more and better sales. I kicked around the idea of actively naming and branding the different kinds of windows with a coworker, and in passing, she mentioned the idea to her husband. Her husband's response was, "That's dumb, just call them what they are." Okay, fine. But what was his level of caring about replacement windows? Other than the fact that his wife worked for the company, it was virtually zero. However, I knew that he is an avid golfer. So after she told me this story, I said to her, just for fun, go back to your husband and ask him if he thinks the same approach should be applied to all of his golf equipment. Ask him if the company that makes his set of irons should brand them just Callaway irons and not Apex. Or how about his driver? Should it just be the tailor-made driver and not the burner? Should his putter be the Ping putter and not the Sigma Series putter by Ping? How about his golf ball? Should it be the Titleist golf ball and not the Pro V1? When I say these examples out loud, I can't help but think, how great would it be if branding products were really just this easy? But in reality, it doesn't work that way. The truth is, to some people who care deeply about the windows and other things in their homes like doors and locks, paint, etc., but have never picked up a golf club in their life, they might say, just call them golf clubs and be done with it. And that would make sense because they're not avid golfers. They wouldn't really care one way or another. But like I said, I get it, but all I can tell you is that from personal experience, what's particularly appealing about the branded house structure to industrial type business-to-business organizations is that it tells company leadership, which is most likely not made up of marketing subject matter experts, that there's no need to name and brand its products and services. Now the thing is, it's not because branded house is the best, results generating paradigm. It's the structure that certain companies want to be told is the best for them. And that's not only why B2B marketing is generally perceived as not being all that great, it's also why the advertising agency that wholeheartedly recommends this strategy is usually the one that wins the client. Of course, House of Brands leverages the opposite paradigm. In the House of Brands structure, the products and services get their own name, and the company name, if it's identified at all, is a support for the product brand. I consider this to be a product branding strategy that's done from the ground up. And through many years of marketing work and countless campaigns and projects, I've come to understand and appreciate this structure because, for customers, the primary focus is on the product brand. I've just found that to be much more effective for marketing. And one of my favorite House of Brands companies is Unilever, a British-Dutch transnational consumer goods company co-headquartered in London and Rotterdam. Unilever has more than 400 product brands including Axe, Suave, Dove, Breyers, Vaseline. The list goes on and on. It's amazing how many well-known brands they own. And that's not to say that nobody's heard of Unilever. It's just that brand name is lower down in the messaging hierarchy most of the time. But when it comes to buying shares of the company, I bet they're doing just fine from a brand recognition standpoint. So these are the two primary brand structure strategies, and in reality, I don't think there's any company that's 100% one way or the other. There's going to be a kind of a mix and match at just about every company. And nonetheless, the point is, now that you know, you'll find the two different philosophies being championed by different companies and different people, whether they identify them in these terms or not. And you've probably figured out by now that I'm not a fan of branded house. And it's because of two big reasons. One, marketing's primary purpose is to create in the minds of the customer the perception that what you have to offer is unlike anything else out there. The branded house strategy works against this objective. And two, all other things being considered equal, the better brand wins. I'm going to say that again and pause to kind of let that sink in. All other things being considered equal, the better brand wins. I encourage you to write that down and think about that from time to time. It will help you decide what direction to go with some of your future marketing projects. Alright, now that you've made it through the first two videos of Diablo, the world's most dangerous naming series, congratulations! You're ready to learn the different kinds of brand names and how and when to use them. We'll go over those in Lesson 3, so keep an eye out for it. It's coming to you soon right here on Mustard, the YouTube channel for non-marketers and new marketing professionals. Of course, don't forget to like this video, comment, share, and tell a friend all about Mustard. I appreciate it and can't wait to hear from you.